So, Bobby, I want to take you back before your arrival. When you were approached by the club, what was your pre-existing knowledge of Weymouth Football Club?
Yeah, I've known a lot about Weymouth Football Club. It's one of the clubs I've always wanted to manage. I spend a very long time and a lot of holidays down in Weymouth because it's such a beautiful place to be. My kids love it, my wife loves it. So when the approach come, I knew straight away it's something I would love to have had this challenge and to manage this massive football club.
You took over with 8 league games already having been played, with the team rooted in the relegation zone. Did this almost make it an even more enticing proposition, with the wide perception being it would be an insurmountable task to keep us up?
Yeah, I knew about the challenge because as soon as the approach came in, I went and started doing all my homework. I knew this wasn't going to be easy, but I think that shows a lot of people about my character is I don't mind a challenge. Um, but I have to say it's not just about the manager. When you're taking on such a big job, it's about your staff and the people around you that you all come together to achieve this challenge. Yes, you will take full responsibility with it, but I'd even say early on now that I couldn't have done it without all my management team and even the players. They still deserve a lot of credit as well for keeping us up. But yeah, I knew it was going to be difficult, but one that I was prepared to take on.
So, 17th of September 2022, Winchester City away, that being your first time taking to the dugouts as Terrace boss. Can you run me through what your thoughts were heading into that game?
Just looking forward to start the journey. Um, I had a lot of belief in myself because I had good people around me as well. To win your first game in the cup and win the club a little bit of money when I knew they needed the money, and to start that journey as well in the FA Cup was very, very special for everyone at the football club. And we got a 3-1 win, if I recall, on that day. And it was a very good performance from the boys and everyone at the football club. And it put a smile on everyone's faces for the first time that season because it had been a difficult start for everyone. So yeah, really enjoyable day that was. Not too far from home as well, an hour down the road. So I had a lot of my family there on the day, and the support that come out that day I can still remember very clearly. They were very loud, and we come out in our numbers that day, and the journey and started together as a group.
Yeah, and as you said, some excellent cup games followed on from that game against Winchester. Victories against Welling, Havant and Waterlooville. That set up an FA Cup first round tie against Wimbledon. Can you talk us through that whole experience for you?
The whole experience of the FA Cup last year, because it was the furthest I'd ever gone, to fair. I'd never been particularly good in cups. And I really did want it on my CV that I got to an FA Cup first round proper. And to do it with such a challenging period at Weymouth was very, very special. And the cup actually was a distraction from the league. And it actually did help. Normally, it can go the other way when you want to do well in the league. The cup can get in the way or distraction. But the FA Cup basically got me to study my players more, got to learn a little bit more about my players, knew what we needed to bring in, what we needed to go out. So yeah, really pleased with to beat Welling at home was very, very memorable because that was a great game for us to win because they were flying at the time as well. And then to go to Havant and beat Havant at Havant just showed that we were building something, especially in the cup. And then the day against Wimbledon, I don't think I had experienced that at Weymouth Football Club, or seen games at Weymouth Football Club over the years. That was something special because we'd come out in our numbers that day, and the atmosphere was electric that day.
It would still take you a month of being in charge to pick up that first league win, though. How difficult is it as a manager to balance the priorities of cup games and league games?
No, I never tried to balance the two. What I tried to do was just take one game at a time, keep believing in what we're trying to achieve here, and just make sure everyone stayed together. We knew it was going to be difficult. I knew how difficult it was going to be. I knew I couldn't turn results around overnight because of the situations, how tough it was with daytime training. Couldn't bring anyone in because of the 5 or 6 boys that I really wanted to bring in who had worked under me. They couldn't come in because they couldn't train during the day. So that was very difficult at times. But that's football, and we knew that side of it.
You transferred the captaincy over to Tom Bearwish in February. Firstly, how did you come to that decision? And secondly, just how well do you think Tom has done in his role as club captain?
He's one of the best captains I've worked with. That most of all, he is a great human being, a great family man. His family are from Weymouth. I knew I was going to do that the minute I went in there, because Xander didn't do anything wrong, but he was the captain for the previous manager. But I look at captains very, very different, and I knew Tom was going to be my captain, but I felt because you've just come into a new football club, bear your time, look at every situation before you go in and start making loads and loads of changes, because I've seen that happen before, and that can backfire on you. Because remember, I had to get this changing room and these boys to trust me as well and believe in what we're trying to do. So I waited and waited till when I thought it was right. And as long as I'm at this football club, that lad Tom will be my captain, because he's from Weymouth. He's one of my best players, and he's a leader. He's a leader on and off the pitch, and he's a great family man as well. So he deserves to be captain of Weymouth Football Club, and I knew he would wear it with pride, and it was an honour to him. So straight away, we both love the football club, and it's a good bit of teamwork straight away. And credit to him, he deserves lots of credit out there for being a great captain.
I think it's fair to say that there were times where we went on poor runs of form in the league. Quite honestly, was there a particular result where maybe you considered relegation as a more distinct possibility?
It's a really good question what you asked, because I heard this quite a lot last year. We're on a good run, we're on a bad run. I never looked at runs, ever. All I did is I had to get enough points to stay in the league. And that's where my experience did come through last year. Lucky enough, we went on some good runs where it got us a few points, and then we had loads of runs where we didn't get any points. But I never panicked. I just kept everyone together, especially in-house. There was a lot of noise outside of our changing room. You do hear it. You try not to hear it, but there's always noise that we're going down. We're definitely down. And I just let everyone do the talking. I let everyone do what they needed to do. But for me, it was never about runs, never about winning 5, losing 5. All it was, we came in to do a job, is to get enough points to stay in the league. And that is some achievement, what we did.
I think we can't look back at your time here so far without talking about those last 6 games of the season. After 43 games, we were pinned with a 0.5% chance of surviving, that finally rising to around 40% on the final day. With all the stats and numbers seeming to have our story already written, do you think that that gave both yourself and the lads an extra edge in those critical victories?
There was never no edge. It was never, I honestly, truly just to try to keep it to one game at a time. And I say it in a lot of my interviews, because you can look too far ahead. Everyone said we were down because they were looking at all the last 5-6 games. No one really ever speaks about the last 5-6 games. The goal that Kills scored against Havant in the 94th minute, that point kept us up, basically. No one really spoke about it. We're 2-1 down. We're chasing the game. We're going for it. And that was a special day. And that goal really gave us a chance. But it was just one game at a time. I ticked off that game. Then I ticked off the next game. And then I remember, I think we were actually bottom when we played Slough. Is that right? We're 3 to go. So we ticked that one off. Then we sat in the changing rooms calmly after and said, look, lads, why don't we go to Taunton and try and tick one off and put a little bit of pressure on Dover and Dulwich. So we ticked that one off, and then we prepared for the last game. And I tried to keep all the pressure away from the lads, because, listen, we knew that was a pressure game, but I just wanted everyone to stay humble, stay quietly, just try and do our business quietly. I had a meeting with every single player one-on-one before the Dover game, before the Taunton game, and I just told them what brilliant players they are, what great people they are. I appreciate they gave me an opportunity to get out of this league from where we were, and they went out and performed miracles, and they deserve to be in history at Weymouth for keeping us in the league through difficult periods of time with a real strict budget, really strict getting players. So, once again, I say it for about 1,000 times. It's about my players and my staff, but I just had to make sure I kept everyone very calm, going into what was a huge football game against Dover.
So I have to ask, where does that day on the 29th of April against Dover rank among your achievements in your time as a manager?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be up there. But I don't just look at it as the Dover game. I looked at it as when we went to Worthing and beat Worthing when they were flying. In that season, you have to look at all the games we've won to give ourselves a chance to go to that game. Listen, I've won a championship and I've won a few promotions, and they're all big. They're big wins. But this was just a different win because of everything that happened in the season, all the challenges behind the scenes where no one will really truly ever know how difficult it was at times, and especially with the injuries. So I would definitely say to you, Rob, it was definitely up there with one of my biggest games, but in a different situation. It was to keep this brilliant football club in the league.
As you said, last season was your first as a manager where you were tasked with battling relegation. What lessons have you learned from that experience that could be transferred into this season, where the aim, I guess, is to start looking up the table?
Don't do daytime training when you can't get a great squad there. You can't work on half numbers. Get your training facilities in the right areas so you can attract players from all different places. Yeah, I learned so much. I learned so much. Always do your work early, get a squad in, give yourself a chance, try and make them players 5% better. You haven't always got to go and get the best players because you don't have the budget. We're on a very strict budget here. So what you have to do is you have to pick your players wisely, pick the ones that are hungry, pick the players that want success as well, and they don't play just for the money, because that happens a lot in non-league football now. That's why I've always enjoyed building good sides around me, because you like working with people that have got your ambition, want to manage and play at the highest level and bring success to the football clubs that you're at.
The under-23s and under-18s had quite a large overhaul recently. Do you see those impressing in the under-23s as potential first-team assets in the future?
Listen, the 23s has always been very good at Weymouth, but I wanted to just go down a different direction. I wanted to bring in my own manager, who is a very good manager. He's learning his trade as well. He wants to listen and learn. He's got some very good management team around him, so I like that. But what we tried to do when I brought Craig in is we're not going to make it two separate clubs. I wanted it to be a one club, because I think that's very important, because it's still Weymouth Football Club. It includes the ladies as well. They're very important to the football club as well. But the under-23s, we've had 5-6 lads training with us already. We had 4 or 5 lads play some games as well in pre-season. I went to watch them again last Monday for the second time in 6 weeks, to support them and support the management team. I've been to a couple of games for the under-23s as well, what I think is important. And they're going in the right direction, so they're good for the future. And I want to give some young lads, especially in Weymouth, and some young pros that have been released, a pathway, somewhere to play and come and play under some good managers that know what they're doing, and hopefully they will enjoy it. So, I think it's important that all football clubs look after their youngsters as well as the senior clubs and stuff like that, because overall they need somewhere to play as well, and give themselves a pathway.
Most notably, we've had Frankie Monk and Matty Burrows make the jump up from the under-23s in the last few seasons. On Frankie, he's looked very bright so far this season, and there's definitely a buzz of excitement around the youngster. Is he knocking on the door for some starts this season in your eyes?
Yeah, Frankie's a young special talent. I've been very fortunate over the years. I found some real good special young talent, and if the father and the son trust me with what I'm doing about last year, get him out, get some men's football, then get him in, start letting him play some games. I think Frankie's got on the pitch, hasn't he, all 3 games now for us this year. Great future, fantastic lad with a very nice family. Watch this space for him. He's pushing to get into the first team now, a starting lineup. But I will always look after him. I might even send him out on loan soon to get 90-minute games. But right now, he's not going anywhere because he's too good, and he's getting in my squad. He deserves to earn the right to be playing for Weymouth Football Club, and a big credit to him. As long as he keeps listening and learning, he's got a bright future.
Over the summer, I think it's fair to say you recruited in numbers. Can you talk us through what the process of Bobby Wilkinson signing a player looks like?
Yeah, we played Dover on was it the 29th of April or the 27th of April? Sorry, I can't remember what it was. Yeah, the 29th, sorry, of April. 30th of April, already meeting players on Sunday. Drove to a couple of players' houses. One player that definitely wasn't wanting to come to me, I made sure I got him out of bed, got him to make me a cup of tea, told him I wanted him. You got to go and hunt these players down. You got to make them feel special. I didn't have time for a holiday. I got down to Weymouth with the family, but was still working every day down there because I have a duty to build a football club and build a good team to give the fans their money's worth when they come and pay. So I said to my wife straight after the game, here we go. And I reckon it was the toughest 5 weeks of my life by meeting 4, 5, 6 players a day. On the phone 24 hours a day. Any manager will tell you that. You're still on the phone at midnight. I don't care who I get out of bed. If I want to play, I need to speak to them and agents. But when I say toughest, really enjoyable as well. When I come out the game or I finish the game, it will be the 1 month I will never miss. Because if you don't get the right players and you don't bring the right personnel in, or you don't do things properly in pre-season, you will always have a bad season. So I've been very fortunate with what I've won over the years. I've built very, very good in pre-season. You hear a lot of managers saying, oh, it's only pre-season, we lost games. Or no, pre-season sets you up for the season. It's the most important 6 weeks of your season. If you have a good pre-season, you normally have a good season. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be loads of challenges. Well, we'll have loads of challenges this year, but it was a really good pre-season in games. I brought some really good games to Weymouth with the pro clubs, and I'm just really pleased with the signings. But they deserve the credit. They're prepared to make the travel. They're prepared to come and play for this brilliant, wonderful football club. So they deserve the credit for signing for me. But everyone, I had staff behind the scenes going to meet players for me, doing emails for me, speaking to lots of pro clubs, speaking to lots of agents. So it was a collective as a team effort. But I targeted most of the players before the season even ended. That was something I do every season. So I was working on 5 or 6, like the likes of Dan Roberts, Joel, Max Hemmings, Anthony Chesh. You want all these boys lined up basically before the end of the season. I'm just glad they all come and sign for this brilliant football club.
We used over 50 players throughout last season. How beneficial has it been to have a more streamlined squad that you had the summer to make your own?
Yeah, someone said to me, you've used 50 players last year. I think you said 48. Well, I would have used 158 if I had to stay up. That didn't bother me in the slightest. That's not how I like to manage. I like to keep my numbers low. I like to keep a small squad. But no one ever put, I think 18 of them were because of injuries. 4 or 5 were loanees that, just wasn't ready for our level. They were good youngsters in their own right at their pro clubs, but they wasn't good youngsters. But everyone just looks at the number. So you're saying it was 50. Well, I'm quite good with that number. I'm quite pleased with that number because I would have used 150 if it meant I got the right team to win me games to keep me in the league. And guess what? It worked, didn't it? So to all 50 players, they deserve the credit. And I did speak to, I think, maybe 13, 14, 15 players on the Monday, 2 days after we stayed up, and I thanked them. I went through all my list of players that come and played for us. Some only played 1 game. Some were only there 2, 3 games, but I thanked basically every single player that I could because they were part of the journey to keep us up. And I think a few were surprised when they got the phone call, the text from me, but I thought it was the right thing to do because they're part of the journey keeping us up.
Despite some very strong recruitment, we did lose over 70 goal contributions worth of players: Brad Ash, Akin Rose and Tom Blair. Whilst I'm sure yourself and all Terrace fans will be forever grateful for the hand they played in our survival, you must be keen now to move on from that and focus on the work ahead.
I moved on the day they left. When people ask me a question, I always tell the truth about what I think. You know, everyone knows I love Brad Ash. Everyone knows I would never have wanted him to go, but he's on his own journey. He wanted full-time football, and Torquay offered him that. And I hope when he comes to us, he still gets a good reception because he kept us in there. But I can understand people will be disappointed he left as well. I was still disappointed he left and went and played in our league. But I absolutely love working with him. You know, Rosie scored some really important goals. He's gone on his journey now. The Tom Blair one did surprise me. I wouldn't lie to you. I didn't think he would just go over where he's gone, but he's chose that, and that's his journey. They're three very good players, very good people, but you know, we moved on the next day as soon as we heard these lads had already moved on. So I wish them all the best, apart from when they play us and we play them. I hope they have the worst games they've ever played. Well, not Rosie, I know he's up in Scotland, but Brad Ash doesn't have a great game, nor does Tom Blair, to be fair.
Last season, the focus was mainly on survival, but with you signing a long-term contract extension, would that imply there is a long-term plan you have for the club? If so, is there parts of that you'd be able to share with us?
Listen, when I spoke to the club, they've been brilliant to me. The club, they've looked after me and my family. And when the offer came, I wanted to show everyone that I was in it for the long haul. I was in it for the challenge, because it was one hell of a challenge. I wanted people to see what sort of character I am. Because remember, we went through some tough times last year, but you can never bring success overnight. Anyone who thinks that at a football club, you might have the odd season here and there where you have a good season, but you've got to build foundations. You have to build good 23s, under 18s, ladies teams. You've got to get all the volunteers back to loving what they're doing, it, why they're a volunteer. You know, I watched all this, I studied all this. People were at the club. I didn't see a lot of happy faces because it was doom and gloom, but I just kept reaching out to every single one of them. They always get phone calls from me like, trust the process, trust where we're going to be in a couple of years' time. And then it's down to the club to keep up with my ambitions, like I keep up with their ambitions. Everyone has a target where they want to be, but you can never get to that target without hard work. And I wanted to make sure I was secure myself to show Weymouth fans and people that I was committed to a long-term project that is going to be still difficult and still be very rewarding if we can do it, or there's going to be loads of times when it's not great, but I'm here for the near future until the club say otherwise, to be fair.
I think most Charles fans will say it's been a very positive start to the season, with this being bang on mid-table as it stands. Has it gone how you would expected it to go so far?
No, I wanted 9 points. No, it's been a good start. It's been a good start because we played some entertaining football. It's been a good start because everyone at the football club is going in the right direction. I was really, really pleased with all 3 games. There've been 3 different games. We've had to work extremely hard to make sure we compete with these teams. Listen, we're definitely not competing with finances. We'll be basically one of the lowest in that league, if not the lowest, but it's 11 against 11 on a Saturday. So we have to work extra harder away from the pitch to make sure we're more organised, we're more fitter, tactically we're more aware, we're more astute. And that's something we are working very, very hard on. Any player will agree with that, and they deserve all the credit because we've gone and done some extra sessions on Zoom. We trained for an extra hour last night because we were working on tactical play and stuff like that, and shape and being aware for the next game. And like I say to the boys, as long as we prepare for every game the best we can, that's all we can ever ask. If we don't prepare for the game and we lose, well, then we have to look at ourselves. And I'm just trying to make every player smile. Just trying to make every player realise why they came in the game when they're between, 8 and 9, because they love the game. And sometimes that gets forgotten in non-league football. We just want to enjoy the game. But afraid to say, everyone just looks at 5:30, 3 points, no points, or 1 point to make a lot of people smile. So hopefully we can get 3 points and people can enjoy the week.
You've referenced in the past the homework you like to do on teams prior to matches, without obviously giving your whole game away. What does that kind of look like for you?
A hell of a lot of hard work. I have someone go and watch every single game for me, and the detail he gives me and the detail that I go through and my management team is hours and hours of work behind the scenes, because that gives you that advantage. But that's everyone at the football club. They do that. Like, you know, I have a scout called Matt who goes to every game for me. We cover a little bit of his expenses to help him out, but otherwise he does it for me because he's always wanted to work for me, and then hopefully I can help him go in a higher level in a couple of years' time. He's learning his trade, but what he's done, it's just been phenomenal. Like we got one lad going tomorrow to watch Chelmsford, and then I've asked another friend of mine, will he travel all the way to Worthing? A friend of mine, well, I say that, he's working for us, Nathan, behind the scenes, all volunteers, by the way. He's traveling to Worthing tomorrow, so we've got a match report on them. So it gives us that chance to, you know, study opposition and know what we need to do. But that's everyone at the football club working hard behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see. They deserve all that credit.
You'll experience your first derby between ourselves and Yeovil on a Tuesday night in October. Is that one on the calendar you're particularly looking forward to?
No, just looking forward to the next game. I honestly, truly never look at it like that. It's a game that I will so look forward to when it comes up and that challenge comes up. But no, my main priority is Hemel. And then as soon as we tick off Hemel, it will then go on to the next game. I never look too far ahead. You've got to play everyone twice. Just be ready. Make sure your team are ready for that challenge ahead, whoever it is that week. But like you say, I understand why you've asked the question. It will be a big game because I know it means a lot to our fans. And we'll be ready. We'll be competing, and hopefully we're in a good place the time we come and meet them.
I'm sure the Terrace fans will travel in their numbers to Kewish Park. It's always been an impressive game in terms of atmosphere. What for you has been the match where you have been most impressed by our fans?
They've been brilliant all season. Even when they were disappointed, they've just been a credit to the football club. You know, sometimes emotions are high, and sometimes when you're not winning, it doesn't seem all positive, and you listen to and you can hear all the negatives. But I thrive on stuff like that, if I'm honest with you. They've been brilliant every single game since the day we came in. They've been brilliant. But if a game stood out for me where they blew me away, was Wimbledon away. Wimbledon away, I think we took 500. I looked over and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. We outsung Wimbledon on their own turf, and that will always be a memory. I've got the football and the program. I got it all framed and got it put in a special box, and I wanted that because of what they did that night. They gave us a chance to have a go at Wimbledon, and they were just from start to finish the loudest I think I've heard in many, many years. Woolstone fans are very loud, but this was very, very loud on the day. And at home, I have to say, Wimbledon again, to be fair, they were like, especially when we scored that goal, I've never seen a ground rumble the way it did. Because it was just such a brilliant day. Derby, you know, because it was pouring with rain, wasn't it? Rosie goes up and scores the free kick. I see some videos on that. I don't ever really go back and look at the videos of what fans are doing or anything like that, but I had a few sent to me, and some of the videos I got sent of the crowds were just like they were jumping all over each other, beers being thrown over each other. They were going crazy. So them two memories stand out a mile for me, and rightly so. They deserved it that season because they stuck with this football club and this football team for the whole season. So credit to them for them games.
And Bobby, a final question. Is there a message you have for the fans after your first 50 games at the club?
50 games. When someone told me it's 50 games, I'll be honest, I'm still in a bit of shock now, to be fair. But I wouldn't change anything in the 50 games because I've learned so much. I'm proud to do the Great Escape that will go down in history. I'm proud to make them to the first round proper. I never look at stats. Someone said to me, you've won 21, 22, whatever. I'm not interested in stats. Like, no, I won enough games to stay up. and I won enough money to help the club out. So they're my two stats. And I have to say, if I could ever thank the fans, just stay loud, stay proud, because this year they've come out in force as well, haven't they? Did we have 1,100 Saturday and then over 1,200 on Tuesday in half term in August? That is just incredible. I went back and looked at what you had in your first season in the National League. I think you only had 700. So the town's coming together. They're believing. When we go through a difficult time, please stick with us. We've got some real tough challenges coming up ahead now. But one thing I will promise you, we'll keep working hard, and we will keep trying to win games of football and playing some entertaining football, because I'm very, very pleased with that stat at the moment with some of the football. But that's where the boys deserve all the credits. And let's see where we end up. Let's see, could we surprise a few people? As you know, favourites to get relegated. Brilliant. That's happened twice in my career, and I got promoted both times. I know that'd be very difficult to get promoted this time, but one game at a time. See how many points we can get. Stick together, Weymouth. And if no one likes us, who cares? And bring on Yeovil.
Brilliant, Bobby. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me this evening, and congratulations on the 50 games.
Thank you. Thanks for looking after me, and I'll see everyone very soon.